various theories related to population growth, etc. Right? We had discussion on Malthusian theory, demographic transition theory, and optimum population theory. Our next block is on population of and in India. Why these two words is because we will be talking about population composition of India, and we also will be talking about the growth of population or population change in India, and afterwards we'll be talking about migration trends or what is meant by migration and how to understand migration, particularly when we view it as one of the vital statistics. Good afternoon. Thank you. Yeah, once again, I'll welcome you all. So let us start with hello Tutridi. Good afternoon. I hope whatever we discussed yesterday, you people had a glance of your study material.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's really very nice. That's really very nice. I appreciate that. Now, we will be entering into the next block, which is having 3 units. And let's start with the first unit, that is population composition in India. Once again, you please permit me to share the screen. The reason is it will be easier for any person to, if we see, then obviously it will be easier for any person to understand it, right? So that's the reason you please permit me to share the screen. Just a sec, I'll share it. Are you able to see? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Now we can see.
Yes. Of course, it is internet-based one. Hence, some advertisements also will be there. Please
no problem, ma'am.
Bear with that. Huh?
No problem, ma'am.
I'll try to reduce this advertisements, this thing, and increase the font. Then advertisements.
It's perfectly all right, ma'am. It's perfectly all right. We can tune out.
It's perfect all right. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Any population, when we talk about composition of that particular population, then we'll be talking about or arranging or distribution of that population on the basis of various attributes or characteristics. These are individual characteristics. Some of them are biological one, like sex or age, etc. Remaining are socio-cultural ones. So for instance, marital status, educational status, occupation, rural urban residence, or how the head of the household and members are related to each other. That means, let us say, whether they are living in joint family or nuclear family, etc. All these are socio-cultural attributes of a population. When we talk about composition of population, of course, we'll be focusing on only in India. It's a kind of intro part, hence I'm using only composition of population. Then population will be divided into various categories on the basis of, just now we have mentioned, that is biological characteristics as well as socio-cultural characteristics. For instance, if we say population composition of India, then we'll be talking about age-sex ratio. Yesterday, we were talking about age-sex pyramid or age-sex peer. I mean, the peer-shaped population and all that, which discloses or which depicts how many working people are there in a particular country, how many old people are there, how many young persons are there, all these details. Usually, whenever we study the composition of any country, including India, we start with where they are residing. And immediate doubt will come to any student's mind. Why should we talk about where they are residing? We have to. The reason is, the more urbanization we have, as per the present day standards, even ancient standards also, the more developed we are. Because urbanization is linked with technology, particularly where we can produce more and more food supply, where we can construct more and more houses, more transport facilities, more social relationships between not only the cities and villages of that particular country, but also with other countries. So on the basis of all these, we usually see urbanization as a characteristic feature of development. When we talk about composition of population, if we see how many members are living in the rural areas, how many are living in the urban areas, clearly shows that whether that country is a highly developed or not that developed or developing, etc. Hence, we start with rural and urban composition of population. And not only that, it describes various social and economic attributes of the population also. Let us see what about the situation in our country. When we see the distribution of population on the basis of where they are residing, or rural urban distribution of India's population, presently in the sense 2011, once again, I refresh your memory, 2021 census are not yet released. As per 2011 census, 68.84% of India's population are still living in villages. Only 31.16% of the population are living in the urban areas. Immediately you can say India is still a country of villages. When India is still a country of villages, then our village front is facing so many problems like poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, or less or uneconomic holdings, rural indebtedness, ignorance, etc. So many problems we are having at our village front. So obviously, India's development is not on par with, let us say, United States of America or any other developed country. But is there any change? Can we say that? Can we feel a little bit happy? Yes, we can. How? Level of urbanization way back in 2001 was 27.81. But now presently, as per 2011 census, it is increased to 31.16%. In other words, in 2001, that is 10 years ago, 72% of our population were living in rural areas. Now it has come down to 68 or somewhere around 69% of our total population. This shows that we are growing in urbanization as well as in economic development. There is no need to ask anybody. Every person, even an illiterate person also will say that there will be more employment opportunities in urban areas. This is one of the reasons for migration. Many people from rural areas, they migrate to urban areas in order to eke out their livelihood. Some kind of work they can find here, some kind of remuneration for their work they can get here. That itself shows that how unemployment levels will go down if urbanization increases. Now, next comes, we usually, I'm digressing a little bit, we usually think that in other countries, people speak only one language, unlike India. In our country, there are so many languages, no way. In all countries, we'll be having linguistic differences. Why should we study these linguistic differences? The reason is one linguistic community. There are so many. Let me mention one. one particular linguistic community migrates to some other place, then that will become a kind of odd man out. Some kind of, let's say, adjustment problems will arise where they are going to reside. Segregation, these are all ecological processes. Concentration, even these also create some problems to the country. Not only that, a kind of, what can I say, dividing the entire country on the basis of language also goes on. For instance, let us take a simplest example. Let us take the United States of America as an example. Even there, we are having so many languages. It is not only Chinese people are there, Polish people are there, Britishers, some of them are there, French people are there, Indians are there, Indians with all linguistic plurality. So like that, you are having so many languages there. Of course, official language may be one, but you are having all these linguistic groups. If you go to Canada, their two major linguistic groups are English and French. There are some areas in Canada where people never speak, though they know English, they never speak, they never converse in that language. They prefer to converse only in French language. These are only some examples I would like to take so that we can see the importance of linguistic composition of any population. What about our country? Even we are also having linguistic diversity. But what we usually do is we divide our languages into 4 language families. Of course, they are having so many subfamilies or groups are there, dialects are there. But despite that, we prefer to group all our languages into 4 language families. These are already, the table is self-explanatory. I request you people to go through. Austric, Dravidian, Sino-Tibetan, and Indo-European. These are the 4 linguistic groups. People belonging to various communities speak languages which are from these families. And they are also having some sub-families. I'll skip that. You please go through. Anyhow, the table is visible. Then I'll come to the last one. For instance, Meghalaya, Nicobar Islands people, their language is Austro-Asiatic language family. Similarly, West Bengal or Madhya Pradesh or Maharashtra or Assam, here they have either subfamily of Austro-Asiatic language. We are having Andaman Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep, and we are also having so many migrants from our country to other countries. Some of these people, that is the reason we talk about them as outside India. They belong to Austro, of course, family only, Aztec family only, but their languages are from another subfamily. Coming to the Dravidian family, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, or Bihar, people from these states, they speak Dravidian languages. But even in these Dravidian languages also, we are having differences. South Dravidian, Central Dravidian, North Dravidian like that. And Sino-Tibetan, this particular linguistic family is divided into 2 subfamilies, and people from Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim, or Assam, Nagaland, or Arunachal Pradesh, these people speak languages belonging to Sino-Tibetan language group. And Indo-Aryan is another linguistic group. Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Orissa, Assam, people from these areas, they speak Indo-European languages. Now, what about the population percentage? Aztec language family languages are spoken by 1.38% of our total population. 20% of our country's population speak Dravidian languages. 0.85% people speak Sino-Tibetan languages. I think some of these states are having English as their official language. Let me take an example of Nagaland. Their language is from Sino-Tibetan language, whatever they speak, whatever they write and all that. That is probably one of the reasons Nagaland is having English, which is a kind of international language, which combines China people and our country people. Is taken as official language for Nagaland. Similarly, somewhere around 73% of our country's population speak Indo-Aryan languages. Many states, big states, particularly area-wise, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, or Orissa, or Rajasthan, or Gujarat, Maharashtra, in all these states, we have people who speak Indo-European language and Indo-Aryan subfamily. Now here, why 73%, 20%? You please try to remember what is happening related to language. We have presented so many bills saying that Hindi must be accepted by the entire country. Of course, Hindi is our country's official language, no doubt. But against that, just prior to our independence and even after independence, even today, southern part of country where Dravidian languages are spoken, somewhere around 20% of our population, they refuse to accept Hindi, and which resulted in linguistic clashes in our country. I think you remember this, right? Very recently also, just before the demise of Sushma Swaraj, she was vehemently saying that Hindi should be accepted by each and every person in our country as official language. Everything should go on in Hindi only. I think you can see the reason here, because their population or Indo-Aryan, to which family Hindi belongs to, their population is 73%. Hence, they were saying that Hindi should be accepted as a language for the entire country. I hope you are having some idea about these linguistic clashes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Especially with the Tamilians.
Yes. Even though it is going on.
Yes.
And deliberately, I am not going into the present day situation.
Yes, ma'am.
You know why.
Yes.
I don't want to enter into, what can I say, any kind of controversy here.
Yes.
Now, let us come to, even here also, please permit me not to enter into any controversial these things. Since we have to talk about religion, I have to talk about the composition of religion, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, next one, that is third criterion, is religion. We divide our population, for that matter any country, divide our population into various groups on the basis of to which religion they belong to or which religion they subscribe. We are having agnostics also, even that agnostics also is considered as one of the religions. But when we see the population division or distribution of our country, Hindus occupy the first place population-wise. Next comes Muslims. Next comes Christians. Next comes Buddhists, Jains, etc. Next comes tribal religions. Next comes agnostics, those who never believe in any religion. Let us see how the growth of population from 2001 to 2011 is going on in order to understand the population dynamics on the basis of religion. Why should we study this? I know immediately the question comes to any student's mind, because where is the need to talk about religion and all those things? Because we have learned that we should not ask these details. We should not talk about religion. We should not talk about caste and all those things. But no, it is very much needed, particularly for sociology student. The reason is, if you remember M.S. Srinivas' theory of dominant caste and Sanskritization, who are dominant in a particular geographical area. Sometimes it is linked with religion. For instance, Jammu Kashmir. Jammu Kashmir, religion-wise, the dominant caste or dominant group is not Hindus but Muslims. So here, Sanskritization process is going on, but it is not exactly Sanskritization. Lower caste people imitating upper caste people and following their rites they pass. So it is not there. There, non-Muslims following Muslim customs and all those things and becoming like Muslims. We have to talk it as a process of Islamization. Not only Jammu and Kashmir, even in Telangana region also the same situation has happened. Professor Rangarao, who is a professor in Andhra University, he has published so many papers on the process of Islamization. So what happens if these Islamization or Sanskritization or Westernization processes are there? The entire, it is not only population, the entire social milieu or socio-cultural milieu is decided by this population dynamics. How? Let us see. When we see the population growth on the basis of religion, because we are talking about composition, during previous decade, Hindu population was 19.92. It has come down to 16.76 in 2011. And there is a growth in the Muslim population. It was 24.60 in 2001 and it rose to 29.52 in 2011. Here I think you can see the fall as well as increase in population growth rate as per the religious composition. I think you can see that. Whereas Christian population growth was 15.5%. Sikh population growth was 8.4%. And many Jains also are there. Jains are 5.4% of the total population. Jains, Buddhists and all other religions. Now let us see this composition. You can observe Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists, all these persons, their population is stable starting from 2001 to till date. But there is a kind of up and down situation among the Hindus, Muslims and Christians. Any bells are ringing in your mind?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Some of the states, though during 1960s, some legislations were made, but all of a sudden, states like Uttar Pradesh, they have made legislations against the conversion, thinking that their state's population is going to either decrease or increase. The religious composition, I'm talking about only religious composition of the state. And there are many people who are talking about what has happened all over the world. All over the world it has happened. Say for instance, up to 1950, all over the world, Christians was occupying the first place in the religious composition. But from 1950 to till date, let's say 2020, it is not the Christians, but it is the Muslims who are occupying the first place population-wise. If it happens, what happens? You know, politically, it is very crucial for any country, right? All of a sudden, the Christian world also may become Islamic world. And all of you are well aware what has happened, let us say, during Saddam Hussein and all those people. I think you are well aware of this.
Yes, ma'am.
America wanted to snub some of the countries.
Yes.
By force also,
Yes.
usually by force. And in case of Osama bin Laden, lot of force was used. Now it is not USSR versus America, but it is golden threshold or Islamic countries versus America. What has happened 26/10 September? You know.
Yes.
Some Islamic terrorists tried to threaten, intimidate the entire America. And American economy also got some kind of dent because of Islamic terrorists. I'm not talking about Islamic terrorists living in Islamic states. I'm talking about Islamic terrorists living in the United States of America. So like this, it is really very problematic situation for any country. Hence, religious composition becomes very, very crucial. So this is about composition of various characteristics we have mentioned. Age, sex, of course, in our last sessions we talked, hence I have not mentioned about that. But we talked about religion, we talked about rural and urban, we talked about certain other aspects also. Of course, there are certain other criteria like education, marital status, what type of occupations they are doing, occupational composition. But you please permit me to skip that and I request you to read it out because we are having very less number of classes and time is not sufficient. I'm really very sorry for skipping this.
No problem, ma'am.
Really
we can manage. Sorry. We can manage.
I'll give my mail address and WhatsApp number. If you are having any doubts,
sure, ma'am.
You can either call me or you can send whatever doubts you are having related to various other aspects.
Sure, ma'am.
Right?
Sure.
This was only because of the paucity of our time. I'm skipping that. Right?
I know.
Now, we are jumping to our next unit, that is population change in our country. What is happening? Every year population is growing. Every year population is changing. What is there to remember and understand? A skeptical student or over-intelligent student will definitely ask that question. Yes, I do accept. Even I do subscribe that idea. But the thing is, unless and until we know how our population is changing, what are the needs of people, then how are we going to make policies, collect taxes or collect money and implement various programs which are aimed to fulfill the or satisfy the needs of our country people? Hence, we have to think about it. Otherwise, what happens? People who are living in 2022, but they will be thinking about 1922. We had the type of situation, they usually start like this. But 1922 is different from 2022. 100 years have passed. Many times we will not see this change. And as population study students, we have to see, it is a must for our study. Let us see how India's population is growing or decreasing, whatever it is. Here we are concentrating on 2011 census, but I think this graph is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
There we have taken only 100 years period. That is 1901 to 1991, 2001.
2001.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The growth, both the bar diagram as well as the graph you can see. 1901 is a standard year which we have taken, a given year. And in the year 1911 to 21 decade, we have been talking about this. The population has gone down. The growth was not there. It was a minus growth at the time. But slowly what has happened? Each decade, it is growing like anything. You can see the difference here.
Yes, ma'am.
On X side and the Y side, if you see how much difference is there, you can see. If somebody talks about, let's say 1901, we were having, our teachers were teaching very good and teachers were teaching, asking the students to come and teach, learn from them without taking a single paisa. Yes, they could do that. But now access, how to access the students is the biggest problem because we are having so many people.
Yes, ma'am.
Our students are scattered over, dispersed. Then what can we do? Now we are utilizing a technical know-how, namely internet connectivity, and we are teaching. Internet connectivity is always linked to some kind of expenditure. So student has to bear with that expenditure. I'll digress only for half a minute. The other day, on Friday, some kind of debate was organized by one organization.
Yeah.
In fact, the Fox said they used. I am one of the advisors for that foundation, so I went there. The topic was ancient education and versus modern education. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I thought what students are going to say. I was eagerly waiting. Students were saying during ancient period, the entire education was free. During modern period, we are asked to pay some fees.
Yes.
And second point what they said is, of course, they said so many points, but these 2 points, because of population studies, attracted my attention. What they said is, at the time, only few people used to get education, others used to work. Now we are able to get education thanks to populist programs or reservations.
Yes, true.
Some I felt that people who are talking like this, I am not finding any fault with the students.
Yes.
But persons who have given that information to these students are living in 1901 or 1921 or 1931 or 1941, but not in 2022.
True.
I know it is a very cantankerous thing, but if you see the graph, why I'm feeling like this, you can easily understand, right?
Yes, ma'am.
One more graph also, let us see. This graph is visible to you, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Right, yeah. So even here also, we are taking into account the crude birth rate, where it is very high, in which state. I think you can see the differences between various areas, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Kerala is having crude birth rate means total number of population and in ratio to total number of births taken during a particular period. Kerala is having less birth rate, whereas if you see UP, birth rate is very high. So we cannot compare UP with Kerala. These two are different. That is one of the reasons why during last decade, Bimaru states, one word we have coined, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, etc., Rajasthan. These were termed as Bimaru states. And we also have one of the very crucial, important problem even today, even after, let us say, 70 years of our planning, we are not able to solve that problem, that is regional imbalances. In some states, we are having a lot of area. People may say, oh, why don't you go and cultivate that land? Okay, fine, we will. But where is the water? For instance, if you take Telangana region, we are having land, no doubt. But water facility is not there. We depend upon rainfall. Even the rainfall also is very less. We cannot compare coastal area with, let us say, Telangana district. Similarly, go to Gujarat. Panchamahal district, one particular district is there. That is the biggest district out of all the districts of Gujarat. But Panchamahal also, just like Telangana region, waterfall is very, very less. Okay, forget about Panchamahal, Gujarat. Go to Rajasthan. But there, unfortunately, we are having a very big desert, right? Thar.
Yes.
Thar desert is there. You cannot cultivate that land. It is highly impossible, next to possible.
Yes.
Similarly, if you go to Assam or Arunachal Pradesh or Mizoram, it is other way around there. More and more rainfall. Cherrapunji, I think all of you still remember that. Cherrapunji gets highest rainfall. Even there, we cannot cultivate crops like, let us say, wheat or paddy, which are considered as staple foods. So here, of course, this is only a small, what can I say, aspect of dimension of these regional imbalances. There are so many, but when we see the birth rate, they are linked with these regional imbalances also. Then let us see another aspect. If population is growing, means we are having more and more number of births and more number of deaths. It is a simple, very simple theory, common sense. But if births are more and deaths are less, then what happens? Population grows more and more. That we are calling as population explosion.
Yes.
population will be very less, even though birth rate is less, death rate is less.
Yes.
Why? What must be the reason? Here comes the significance of maternal death rate or mortality rate and infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate, to be precise, it talks about the medical and healthcare facilities of a particular country. You please try to refresh your memory related to Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals. Health is one of the major important criterion in all these goals. If maternal health is not good, that in many cases results in infant mortality rate. If infant mortality rate is high, then what happens? Death rate is high and even birth rate also is high. In our country, some of the states are suffering with high infant mortality rates. Once again, I request you to please have a look of the graph here. Madhya Pradesh is having highest infant mortality rate, whereas Kerala is having very less. And of course, in between India's average infant mortality rate also is given. Why? What must be the reason? Of course, reasons we'll say, because we are having another chapter also.
Yeah.
There we'll discuss about those reasons. When population is growing, then what happens? What are the consequences of population? Because why should we study population growth? I think we started with that question only.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us try to answer that. The first and foremost one which we have to give importance to is various ecological and environmental consequences. The population grows, then what happens? Many people will be migrating from their villages to urban areas. Obviously, housing shortage will happen, water shortage, many people living in slum areas with less and less facilities. Okay, these people are not coming to urban areas, fine, wonderful, but they have to have some place to live, a house. So wherever they are living, they usually cut the trees and they construct houses. And this results in environmental degradation or deterioration. We require more and more food in order to feed all these mouths. Though our agricultural technology or our land is not capable of producing 3 crops or 4 crops per year, we force the land to give 4 crops per year by using some kind of chemical substances, chemical fertilizers. All of you are well aware of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Along with chemical fertilizers, we are also ready to use seeds which are genetically modified seeds. Nobody knows what is going to happen if you eat that genetically modified, let us say whether it is rice or wheat or, all food particles. We don't know about that, but still we eat them. If we eat them, then what happens? On the one hand, ecological disturbance is there, environmental deterioration is there, and on the other hand, you are also having so many medical problems. Prior to 1950, we never talked about sugar as lifestyle disease, but after 1950, to be precise, after 1980s, each and every person is suffering with diabetes.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
Why? What must be the reason? The rice which we are eating, staple food, or the wheat which we are eating as staple food, are not at all having only carbohydrates or only little bit protein, but they are having more and more toxic material which we use as chemical fertilizers. Because residue, I think all of you have studied chemistry.
Yes, ma'am.
When chemical reaction goes on, something may become residue. When we use chemical fertilizers, of course, fertilizer and its essence will go into the plant, no doubt. But residue will be there. That residue is a toxic one. And this toxic residue also entering into the paddy or wheat, etc., etc. So whatever we are eating less carbohydrates and more toxic material. Then you know what happens. How our health is going to be affected, we can understand. Not only that, When we try to do some developmental activities, then we may have to displace people. There are so many, what can I say, reservoirs. We have constructed them by Sardar Sarovar project. All of you are well aware of this.
Yes, ma'am.
This has displaced many villages, not one or two. Where will they go? They went to various cities to work as unskilled laborers. This is another problem which we usually come across because of rapid population growth. Let me go, what can I say, little bit faster way.
Yes, ma'am.
Encroachments will be there. Of course, bulleted points are there while I'm talking. If this go through,
Yes.
right? Illegal harvesting of wildlife will be there. Similarly, degradation of coastal area will be there. Even aquatic ecosystems also, like let us say rivers and all those things they are no longer there. Once upon a time, I still remember seeing Musi.
Yes.
That was nearly 50 years ago. Musi as a river.
Yeah.
But now there is hardly any Musi river. I'm talking about Hyderabad, since I am staying at
Yes.
Hyderabad.
Yes, ma'am.
During 1990s, I read so many articles on Bhavani River, which flows in Kerala. And that Bhavani River is no longer there.
Yeah.
Because that Bhavani River was sold to Coca-Cola factory.
Yeah.
Whatever water was there, is there, it is taken by Coca-Cola factory to prepare our aerated soft drinks.
Yes.
During 1985, I had been to, of course, many times I went there, I had been to Triplicane area of Chennai.
Okay.
When I went there during 1960s, 65 to be precise, that was the first time when I saw a very big reservoir near a particular temple. And when I went after, let's say, some 20 or 30 years later, the entire reservoir is no longer there. A small part of is made as cricket ground. Of course, the please permit me to go into first person this thing. Why I have taken this first person account is, you can see umpteen number of situations surrounding you. Our water resources are not there. Even if we are there, Hussain Sagar, once again I'm talking about Hyderabad, Hussain Sagar during 1970s, of course, all this necklace road was not there.
Yeah.
The reservoir was up to more or less income tax building. I myself have seen that.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
now, nothing. And so many companies are throwing their effluents into Hussain Sagar.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know how Hussain Sagar is now.
Yes.
Less side is better.
Yes.
Right. Similarly, water requirements are really very high now. But in order to have water, what do we do? Once again, I'll give one first person account. The place where I am residing, I have seen the growth of so many, what can I say, residential areas. If 70 or 80 years are there, then they usually construct a 5 to 4-story building there. They need water, both for construction purpose as well as for their domestic needs. I have within a, what can I say, area of some 1,000 yards, some 7 such houses are there. In each house, we have within the house itself a borewell. I think you can see the seriousness of depletion of water or depletion of aquifers. We are going down, 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 deep, deep, deep into the sea in order to have water requirements. And what about our children? Are they having enough playground to play? Oh no. In many urban areas, there are no playgrounds at all. There are no trees at all. We are doing something. Tutu mantram and one word is there in Telugu and Adage is there. Traffic parks and all those things we are having, but these parks will not be sufficient for the overall growth of our children. They are not meant for playing and all that. Then urbanization is another very serious consequence of population growth. Here, once again, I request you to have a glance of this graph, which talks about urban trends all over the world. A 50 years period we have taken. Urbanization is growing and growing and growing. Along with that, rural population also should have some kind of alternative employment opportunities. But unfortunately, countries like our country, we are not having any such. So obviously, what happens, you know. And what about the food grains and availability of food grains? Food security is another problem. Most of the countries are facing with this problem. Per capita availability of food grains. You please see the graph here. 1951 to 1996. How much we are able to get. Pulses as well as food grains and cereals. Even here also we can see. Then we have to talk about food security. The more the population, the less the food security. All of us are well aware of this. Then what about production of food grains? How much we are producing? Rice, wheat, cereals, pulses, the major food we have taken into consideration. And you please see how our production is growing. But on the other hand, you please try to remember Malthusian theory, how our population is growing. 1950-51, 20.58 was the rice production percent. In the year 1998-99, it is a projected one, 84.50. But what about the population growth there? How many crores of people we have in 1998-99? If less food is there, less facilities are there, that results in nutritional problems. Energy deficiency, we usually say chronic energy deficiency. And the major cause for this chronic energy deficiency is nothing but malnutrition. Nothing but malnutrition. Whether a pregnant woman is suffering with malnutrition or a child is suffering with malnutrition, you know what happens. These people will not be in a position to work at all. Forget about CED and all those things, statistics and all those things. If you take yourself as an example, if you compare yourself with your grandmother's energy levels were more than you. I know it is a little bit critical statement, but still I prefer to say this. The reason is your grandmother was having at least nutritious food. We are not having it. Your grandmother was having oxygen because pollution was very less at the time. But now, unfortunately, we are not having that much, let us say, pollution-free atmosphere. So in the scenario, what happens, you know, and economic implications also will be there. Now, I'll skip these because we have already this thing. This particular part I would like to put before you. That is various regions, how they contribute for population growth. You can see this pie diagram. Yes. Bihar, UP, MP, Rajasthan, Orissa, all these states put together, they are contributing 55% of the population growth. Next comes Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala. They contribute 14%. The remaining are comparatively less. Now you can understand the seriousness of regional imbalance, right? Similarly, migration trends also. Anyhow, we are going to see about migration in our next session. So this is about population growth in India and what happens if population grows without any control. So with this, I'll complete today's session and we'll see migration, fertility, as well as mortality rates, how to calculate them, how to understand them in our next session. I think that will be on 20th.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go in a very fast pace on the day because we are having so many.
Yes,
I think now we are
we have
in
only two more classes.
third block. 2 blocks are there.
Yes,
28th, 21st. Two sessions are going to be there. And
Yes,
we'll try to do that. Is
Yes.
this clear so far?
Yes, ma'am. Very, very clear.
Oh, so nice of you. Thank you. But the only thing is, once again, I am refreshing you. If
Yes.
you have any doubts, you please. My number, I think I have already put there in chat. Right?
I don't think so, ma'am. Could you please share your
okay,
number?
now I'm going to put.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is there a possibility for us to meet you, ma'am, in the campus?
Big pardon?
Can we meet you in the campus? Is there any possibility?
No, I won't meet campus, no, ma.
Okay.
If you want to meet me, you can come to. In fact, I'm a retired person. I am a retired professor. I retired from Kevarangardi Law College at my 63rd year, and later I worked with a software company.
Ooh.
And I'm a PhD in sociology and law, MPhil in journalism, MSc psychology, like that. And presently, I am practicing as an advocate because I am having my law. And our foundation office is there every day from 2:30 to 6. I'll be there. It is situated at Naranguda area. Kranti Foundation, Bharat Institutions.
Okay,
You might have heard
yes, ma'am.
This name. I think, they have constructed various other colleges and all that. And that particular part we have taken for our, it is Samskriti Foundation. I'll be there in the office.
Sure, ma'am.
Now, since we are having vacation for the court, I'll be there from 12:30 onwards till 7 like that. But after June 3rd, because once again our course reopens, no? So at the time I'll be there from 2:30 to 6 o'clock.
Sure.
You can come and meet me anytime.
Absolutely, ma'am. It's
only thing is, before coming, please give a ring. This is my WhatsApp number also. I have already shared my number.
Sure.
If you are coming, you please put.
Sure, ma'am.
Because we'll be providing so many programs. In fact, from June 10th to July 10th, we are having internship program from Vellore Institute of Technology. My own students, law students, they are coming. 40 students are coming from various colleges, from Coimbatore, Chennai, and all those places. And we are having various other programs also, like not exactly certificate programs, but workshop programs and all that.
Ma'am, do you have any programs related to psychology, ma'am?
Yeah, we do have psychology programs also.
I would like to, ma'am. I'd love to come and meet you and more details.
Oh, really very good. We're really very good.
Please,
whenever now we are having these programs,
okay,
and once after July 10th,
sure, ma'am, sure.
Having at the time, I will definitely remember you, and you please come and.
Yes, ma'am. Huh? Yes, ma'am. I'll text you so that you'll.
Oh, so
you
nice.
Share the information.
Oh, so nice, so nice.
Really
and you are also, you teach French, you said,
yes,
right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If need arises, can you spend an hour or so for our interns?
Perfectly, ma'am. No problem. Perfectly. Yeah.
You please send me hi to my WhatsApp number so that I can save your number.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So nice, ma. So nice. Achha, by the way, Trupti,
yes, ma'am. Yes,
if any translation is required, let's say from English to French or French
I can do that, ma'am. I can do that.
Oh, wonderful. Because,
yes.
We usually take up translation services also.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So nice. Such a great information I got from Trupti now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, then see you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Take care. Until 20th. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.